United are scoring.
And it's exactly the point that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer chose to make in a pre-match press conference. He said, look, we have to spend money to compete. I mean, this lays it bare. In the 2 games they've played out there, they've created 33 chances. They've scored 2 penalties.
It does, you know, but listen, I can't go on that. I still think when you look at what United done in the last 6 months with that top 3, you know, they've competed with Liverpool's top 3, scored more goals than Liverpool's top 3, Manchester City's top 3. These are clear-cut chances that we've been talking about. These are chances from 4 or 5 yards. If Sancho's there, does he score? I don't know. But Sancho...
We must say as well, Jack, their keeper's brilliant.
Yeah.
He made, I know you can argue about the finish and coach you can, but at times he made some really good saves. So especially one-on-one, I thought he was brilliant.
Yeah, Bono had the edge over United. Owen, let's come to you. The lads in here are both making the point that really United had the opportunities, they didn't take them. Sevilla doing what they do so well in this competition. How do you reflect on that frustrating 90 minutes of football?
Yeah, I think frustration really will be the end thing for United and the fans and the players. I'm with Scholesy. I thought they played pretty good. Goalkeeper had a worldie again. United, had some finishing moments where they just didn't take. And I thought Sevilla showed some real character, really, to defend and throw bodies in front of challenges. That spell, I thought for the 10 or 15 minutes at the start of the second half, I thought Man United were unbelievable. Dominated possession. Even though Sevilla had more in the game, that was class. And they just needed to take the chances. As Incy said, they didn't. And I think Sevilla started to grow more in confidence. And again, we saw with Pep, he spoke about both boxes. Raheem Sterling missed his chance to concede on the other end. United don't take their chances. A bit of lax marking from Lindelof. And they concede a goal when it didn't look like they concede. So I think disappointment really for United. But I think all in all, they've had a good season. But to lose 3 semi-finals is... they got to work on that. You can't lose 3 semi-finals in one season.
Yeah, I agree with all that. As much as United deserved to win and played really good football at times, they were the better team. There's no doubt about it, they're the better team. You have to say the second goal, the defensive part of that goal was shocking. Lindelof and Maguire, both out past the near post. There's one centre forward. Lindelof has to see him. And then Wan-Bissaka as well has to try and cover for him if he don't think he sees him. But surely Lindelof as a centre half, he's got his centre forward. He's got to be looking at him. His body angle's all wrong. And if they avoid that, then I think they will go and score a goal because Sevilla they looked tired to me. Yeah. They didn't look like they were going to create a chance other than that one.
We saw what Bruno Fernandes thought of that defending. Is it quality? Is it spending money? Is it still a good season for Manchester United? What does Ole got them later? You're right, mate.
Yeah, good. Sorry.
That was all too much for you for a second. Look, during the outbreak, all 3 of you were busy talking about the goal that won it for Sevilla. Let's just do that on air, I suppose, for people at home to hear the conversation you were having. Who wants to kick us off?
Scholes, you seem quite irate about it. So fullbacks, block crosses. You know where Navas is going to go. He's all right foot.
We've said all 4. It's all 4 of them for against 2 people.
Got to block the cross.
I mean, I know it's hard when you're at home and you're not in the studio. What do you think?
You know what? They're all right. Bruno Fernandes is right, Scholes is right, and Incy are right. Everybody's involved in it. Brandon Williams needs to stop the cross. If we go back to the goal there, when the ball goes wide to Brandon Williams, and we can just pause it real quick, it's actually 4v2. There's no danger. That changed them winning potentially a European title. So frustration on behalf of the players because they care. But if they want to win a European title, they've got to take the chances. And you can't concede a goal when it's 4v2 at the back. You can't. Scholes is right. Everybody's involved in that goal. And I think all they'll just be disappointed that they didn't deal with it.
So much talk about Jadon Sancho. Paul, you mentioned Jadon Sancho bang on the full-time whistle. Do any of you think, though, that defensive reinforcements are the single most important thing this United team need?
I think they could do with centre-half. I've said that all along. I'm not sure Lindelof's going to be good enough for a partner as Maguire. I think they need a more dominant defender next to him. I think defensively, the fullbacks are okay. On the ball, you'd have to question. But I think defensively, they're okay. So, yeah, look, Lindelof's all right. Do you know what? The defensive record over the last 15, 20 games, whatever it has been very good. Probably one of the best in the league. So you have to take that into respect as well. But I still think a dominant centre-half next to Maguire, just to cover for the slight weaknesses he has.
Yeah, you mentioned that word again, and you talk about that word weaknesses, and you always know whether you play buy-in now or Lindelof. They're always kind of prone to these kind of weaknesses. If that was Liverpool, that wouldn't have happened tonight. You know, it wouldn't have happened. You know what I mean? That wouldn't have happened.
From a quality perspective.
From a defensive point of view, we kind of think about...
The forwards would have scored as well.
Yeah, for sure. But we can't always think about it's all about offensive play X, Y, and Z. You know, not a lot of managers do a lot of defensive play, and how you should be from there. And Scholes is right. Two centre-halves should never go past the near post. Wan-Bissaka has to deal with it. Or whatever happened, well, he has to deal with it. You know, if that had been going there, we would have dealt with that. That's what I'm saying to you.
Yeah.
But they are short. Williams is still young, got a lot to learn, but I like him. Wan-Bissaka, offensively, does he go forward enough? Does he create enough? Is he a modern-day fullback? He's more of a defensive one. What did Fred do in the game again today? When you see much from Pogba, is that right position against him, holding alongside Fred, doesn't suit him? How many times did he get in the box? You know, we saw Pogba a year ago scoring goals. Didn't even see him in the box tonight. You know, so there's a lot of questions, you know, to be answered in that squad.
Yeah, do you know what? I think the defensive and giving the goals away is a little bit irrelevant. When you look at the chances United created, it's hard against.
See the frustration. Let's go back to Owen Hargreaves. I mean, we were just talking about the substitutions that Ollie made this evening. He waited until the 87th minute to do it. Is that a reflection of the fact he doesn't have the depth on the bench and therefore doesn't really have the belief those players are going to change the game for him? Otherwise, he does it earlier.
Well, I think it's difficult because I'm with Scholes here. I think the front three are so good. You know, if you can, ideally, you wouldn't change them. You know, Liverpool rarely change the front three, but, you know, they get, you know, some of those goals in crucial moments, and they probably should have got one. Martial had a great chance. When it falls to Greenwood, you just think it's going to hit the back of the net. So the goalkeeper's had an absolute worldie. You know, Igalo's had a good impact, but is he better than Martial, Rashford, or Greenwood? No, he's not. So, you know, you give those boys a chance and a platform. Mata had a good impact on the game last time he came on, but still, you've got Pogba, Fernandes. You trust those players to get you out of trouble. And I agree with Harry Maguire. I think he spoke great. You know, they probably should have won the game, but they didn't, you know. And then you need to look at yourself there and think, how come we didn't take our chances? How come we didn't defend in that crucial moment when we were in control of the situation? So I think there's a lot of positives this season for United. But going forward and winning titles isn't always about being the better team, the best team. It's just about being there in the decisive moment, which Scholes and Ince know, and they need to sort that out. Ole Gunnar knows that as good as anyone.
So what rebuild needs to happen for them to take that next step? I mean, Harry Maguire spoke about it there, didn't he? If we can take a big step next season, we can compete for titles. Where does this rebuild need to come from? What needs to happen?
It needs to improve the squad. It needs to bring more quality into the squad. We look at 11 or 12 players they've got and you think, yep, good enough probably. Is it good enough to close out, was it 20-point gap of Liverpool? I think it probably is, maybe to halfway, maybe to 10 points. But then can they get closer to Liverpool? I don't see it with this squad. I think they need to strengthen. You look at the bench tonight, he's got Igalo, who's a goal scorer. He brings him, I think he brought him on last out of the 5 subs. Which tells you he's not got that much confidence in it. And you know, you look right across the bench and is there anybody that can change the game for you? One matter, possibly in different types of game where it's a tight game, he's got a bit of quality. But really, you look at other squads, you look at the bench and you think they can come and change the game. They've got 15, 16 players who can really challenge for a full year and challenge the players that are on the team. But United at that minute, they don't have that.
But remember, it's his first season in charge. He still made it to 3 semi-finals. They still finished 3rd in the Premier League this year. It remains a work in progress, but the next game won't be long in coming. The new season's just around the corner, of course. Look, I mean, we've had a long chat in here in the studio about what United need to do to strengthen and reinforce. What they need, and it's not easy, is to find players that will come in and have the kind of impact Bruno Fernandes has had. If they can do that a couple more times, it will make a big difference.
Yeah, I mean, he's class. Again, today, you think about the penalties he scored, the amount of chances he created for the players that didn't take them. You know, I think recruitment just shows you need players that can make a difference, and you need ones better than what you currently have. So Bruno's come in and big, magnificent. You know, Scholes, you know, if Jadon's in there, Jadon Sancho, United probably win the game. You know, he just creates so many opportunities for people. They need another centre-back, that's for sure. You know, the fullbacks, you know, if Wan-Bissaka has a poor game, who's going to fill in there as well. So I think there's 3 or 4 areas where United, you don't need quantity, they need quality. Liverpool showed that. If they can get that, I think they're going to be a lot closer to Man City and Liverpool next season.
Okay, well, the message is certainly clear from the 3 people here in the studio to Ed Woodward. United need to spend. I'm sure the message will be similar. Meanwhile, Jadon Sancho's been busy tonight on social media, tweeting some outrageous skill of his, talking about what a great pre-season he's having. I'm saying nothing. Owen, look, we've spoken so much about signings. I think we should talk about the manager and what he's learned this season. As he said there, 3 semi-finals. That's been a big learning curve for him personally, 3rd in the Premier League. What's he learned this season to equip him for the seasons to come?
I think he's learned that, since February, he makes a good point. United have been fantastic, so to finish 3rd from where they were, we were saying top 4 looked unlikely at the beginning of the season. So to finish 3rd, get to those cup semi-finals, I think, constitutes a decent season. But all he knows, the expectations are to win a title. And the only way they're going to get there is by adding quality. Liverpool did it. They had one window where Alisson and Van Dijk come in and they turn a really good team into a great team. Ole's at that point now where his front 3 is as good as anyone's in the division. The midfield with Pogba and Fernandes is pretty much as good as anyone. They need a defensive midfield player, a centre-back, and Jadon Sancho. And maybe a bit of cover at full-back. So 4 players, cost you a few quid, but it's worth it because, they need to get back to competing for titles. And I think they're close. I think Ole deserves a lot of praise for getting them there and bringing in the right type. But now the club need to back him and get in those players that can help make the difference. And I think they're close.
It comes back to signings again, doesn't it? Look, if I'd have said to you at the beginning of the season, 3rd in the league and 3 strong cup runs, you would have probably taken that, wouldn't you? Based on where they were?
3 semi-finals, probably not, no. I think Ole's done really well from where the club has been for the 3 or 4 years previously to when he came in. I think he's made a huge difference. The style of football, especially as Owen said, from February, we've looked a different team. For 2 or 3 years, we didn't look like we could create a chance, let alone score a goal. But since Bruno came in, he's made a huge difference to this team. He made a dull team into an exciting team. Good young players coming in. Brandon Williams doing really well. Mason Greenwood, as we know. That's what United was all about. Losing 3 semi-finals, really disappointing. Look, tonight, the best team lost the game. There's no doubt about that. But you can't keep saying that. At some point, you've got to win these games. You've got to have the players who win you trophies and win you these games of football. And at the minute, they're not quite showing that. And this is a club that expects to win trophies. It's been 3 years now without a trophy. And all of it know, as well as he's done to get them to semi-finals, the next step he has to find a way to win something.
That's the point, isn't it? This is a job where you're expected to win titles, not get to semi-finals. Ole is the man to do that, do you think?
I think so. I think at them. Listen, are they going to give him that time? I don't know. But you look at what Klopp did. It took him 5 years to get the team that he's got at Liverpool now. We talk about, you mentioned Sancho and people like that. They need a striker. They need a top marquee striker. Whether Martial's at one, I don't think so. Martial can play left, right, centre forward. They need a top striker. Scholes's spot on. Man United, you have to win trophies. Go back to the Chelsea semi-final. Didn't play a very strong side. Could have won that, could have won an FA Cup final. Again tonight, they should have won the game with enough chances. He talks about having a young team. It wasn't a young team. You had a very experienced team out there. They should have won that game. And it's about taking these opportunities as players. And they didn't do that. Looking forward to the future. They've got Champions League football next year. Hopefully that will then allow them to get some world-class players in. But the signs are good. All the Man United fans want is hope. And this year they've got some hope. But they want to win the trophy. And we've had 3 opportunities this year and not done anything.
But you have to give him time and resources.
Yeah, to be fair, for his first year in charge, they give him money to do that, and he spent it well. Now, what he's done there, he's proven that he can buy quality and bring quality to the club. So now they need to back him again. As Incy said, Klopp, it took him a little bit of time, but you always felt year on year there was something coming. And I think this is the first year in 5 years we felt like there's something good happening. Now, it still might take another 2 or 3 years, but you've got to give him the time to do it, and you've got to give him the money to do it as well.
And the money is the key thing. I remember we had an event here, and there was some Liverpool hierarchy at the meal, and this was 2 or 3 years ago, and I remember saying, you might have to spend 100 million quid to really get to where you want to, and they said, absolutely no way are we spending that kind of money. Then something changed, and they went out and they spent big, and it made all the difference. And look where Liverpool are. We thought, what did we say, 20 points ahead of United?
No, 30 or something.
33. It was 33. The final 4 teams left in this competition have been brilliant. The first of your two former sides left in didn't make it. What do you think about Inter's chances tomorrow night?
I hope they make it. Obviously, after tonight's disappointment of Man United not making it, but it's going to be a tough game. You know, Shakhtar Donetsk, very, very good side, very attacking side, plenty of Brazilians in their teams, plenty of flair. But Lukaku's on fire at the moment, scoring goals for fun. Fingers crossed one of my teams get through.
We shall see. Look, we're going to get you in here tonight, tomorrow night, Owen. That should be, on paper, it looks like a really open, exciting game of football we've got lined up tomorrow night.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fabulous. I agree with the boys. You know, Shakhtar play one way, really attacking. I think for Inter, you know, I think we've seen over these games that the better defense often wins in these games, you know, and I think for Inter have that with Conte, so I think Inter are going to go through.
Wonderful. Owen, thank you very much. Paul, thank you all very much indeed.